there's a way.
Quite literally, Will Tidwell, a younger gentleman.
I wish I didn't have this big heart. People just do nothing but hurt me. Anybody can dream the dream. Anybody can have a goal, but see,
You're gonna be a neighborhood hero. You just keep shining, young king.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Today I've got Will Tidwell on. How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm amazing. Thanks very much. I'm glad we could really do this. Like I said before, my girlfriend has sent me a video on Instagram where you were speaking on, I don't know if it was a rap radio station or if it was just one of those Instagram pages that has rap in it. But basically you were talking a lot of truth. You were saying about to keep your dreams to yourself, and if you tell others, they may not understand it. And I just was like, fuck me, this is so true. And then I went onto your page, I'd done a bit of digging, and I was looking at all the videos that you posted, and I was like, definitely need to get this boy on. He is flipping fantastic. So yeah, basically I sort of give it away. Everyone sort of knows you're a motivational speaker now. But do you want to introduce yourself for my listeners who don't know who you are?
Introduce myself, man. Yeah, man, my name is, like he said, Will Z Tidwell. Most of my friends and my colleagues and this tribe and this, community that I'm really aiming to build just calls me Z, man. Originally from the States, Little Rock, Arkansas to be exact, here in the US. And man, I'm 24 years old, CEO of a company called Speak Up Z LLC. So we really focus on community outreach and initiatives and programming designed for the youth. Less fortunate, with a big focus on the youth, man. So as you may have seen, I have a detailed mentoring program where we hire young youth in underprivileged areas to provide them with resources and opportunities to, employment, and mentorship, and things of that nature. Have one of the best youth programs here in my state, where we focus on entrepreneurship and the arts, man. And then obviously me speaking and traveling and, and motivating the youth throughout the U.S. I have a really dope writing company that helps the youth with the academic writing, things of that nature. And then last but not least, man, we have a marketing company where we really focus on helping others build their brand and build their business, which is, just one more resource that we offer for my people in my communities, man, especially communities that are underserved and often forgot about. So in a nutshell, man, that's who I am and that's what I do, man. So, yeah.
Amazing. And you mentioned there that you give opportunities to young people who can't find jobs. I seen on your page is it just like the car wash that you do, or do you do like other sort of things to help out the young kids coming up?
Well, to give them a job, yeah, that's our main platform that we use. Like I said before, so that really was birthed out of Corona, out of the virus, because before we were just a straight up youth program that just focused on serving curriculum for the youth, right? So we just would do entrepreneurship curriculum, teaching them, the skills and the tactics and the things that every entrepreneur should know, even at a young age. But obviously when Corona happened, you can't have all these different kids inside of one, small place, right? Because of all the social distancing rules and things of that nature. So from that, we birthed a new idea where I was like, man, I did it as a kid. I had so many hustles that made me money and kept me out of trouble. So I just kind of reinvented that platform, one of those hustles, which was washing cars for me as a kid. And I just put those kids that were old enough in that position to have a hustle too, man, So that's just a start right now. It'll branch out into other things. It'll start to become me plugging it into my friends' businesses, and they'll have opportunity with those guys. And then I'll create more platforms and more businesses where they can come onto those, have an opportunity to work and build. But this is just our first pilot program, man. And, and it's expanded and it's growing and it's picking up a little traction, man. So, yeah, this is just a start of what we're going to do. Yeah, man, because it's a big mission and a big purpose behind it. So I'm excited to see what's coming.
And how important is that for kids? Because like you said, like me and you are around the same age, like I kind of understand how important it is for not only for mental health side of things, but like you said, socially as well, to stay out of trouble and to sort of socially interact with other people that are same age as you, and you're doing the same work. How important is that for children growing up nowadays, especially with like technology and stuff like that?
Right. Man, I had a friend that said something like that was really powerful one time, bro. What he said was, because where I'm from, like I think like most places in the world, but some places are just worse than others sometimes. That there's a lot of violence that goes on with our youth and just the young ones in general, like in our age range and in that space, right? And a lot of times you'll hear those older people say, man, we got to put these guns down. We got to put this stuff down. We got to stop doing all this stuff we're doing on the internet and stop being so negative. And when they say all of these things, but then when he said something so powerful one time, he said, man, we keep expecting these kids and these people that are right in our age range to put the gun down, to put the cell phone down, to put these things down. But when we ask them to put this down, are we giving them an opportunity or anything to replace it with? Because if I take that gun away, or I take this phone away, or I take that whatever that this is that you're doing away, what am I going to replace it with? Because if I don't replace it with something that's going to keep you busy and keep you, help you use your time wisely, all you're going to do is go back and pick it up again when you find it on down the road somewhere else, or somebody else is going to introduce you to something even worse. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I knew it was super important. And, I've been doing community initiatives and programming for almost, going on, 7 years. But I felt like I was only putting a Band-Aid over the real issue, but I wasn't really getting in there cleaning the true, so to speak, right? Like, because I can give this homeless person a meal, but then he's hungry the next day, right? Or I can, have a program teaching these kids these things, but then they still got to go right back home to this toxic environment. And so I said, man, we got to replace these toxic habits. We got to replace these bad habits that these kids have, because they're not bad people. They just haven't been given, the adequate chance or the resources or opportunity, man. So I knew it was super important. So that's why we started creating platforms like this, where we don't just give them a meal, but we get a platform to go buy their own meal. We don't just tell kids don't do this or don't do that. We show them don't do this or don't do that. And this is what can happen when you decide to put in the work and do what you're supposed to do. So it was more about shutting up and stop talking so much and actually showing them, which is kind of an irony because me, the speaker, but speaking is just one half of it, because you do have to believe in yourself before anything. But once you now have the belief, what is the action plan you need to put in place to actually be successful? You see what I'm saying? So that was a big deal. And I knew that was important, man. And that was something that, I wanted to be on top of, man. So yeah, it's super important.
It's amazing though, because like you said, you started 7 years ago. So you said you were 24, or you're 24. So you have been 17 at the time. So, I mean,
right.
I think it's kind of important for someone who is the same age as these kids to sort of tell them there is another way out, and they don't have to listen to the older person telling them what to do. Because I mean, it's different generation. At least you've came up in kind of the same generation.
100%. Say that last part one more time for me.
Yeah. So just like I said, like you were, you started when you were 17, and the fact that you're telling these kids that there's a different way, and there's more opportunity out there coming from you as being in the same generation as them. It's kind of more meaningful than coming from someone who's like 40 or 50.
100%. I think that's what has helped me be so relatable and be so successful thus far and be able to reach these kids the way we have, bro, is because the fact that I'm not too far off. I'm in that perfect balance where I'm because I feel like you don't truly hit adulthood until you're about 25, 26. That's where you really just, you're still going to be figuring shit out. We're super young, but it's like at that same point where it's like, it don't get real until you get to that point. So I'm in that perfect balance of, I was just in your shoes not too long ago, but I also have lived and experienced enough to know a little bit about what I'm talking about. And I don't pretend with these kids, bro. I don't pretend with the kids, because I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people are so unrelatable that are older, is because we try to come at the kids, and they even come at us for our age, bro. These older people that are 40 and 50, they even come at us sometime and make it seem like we have to have it a certain way and have to have it figured out a certain way, and that it's going to be this way. And they don't remember when they were our age and they made those same mistakes. It seemed like they forget when they were in those exact same shoes and doing those exact same things, which makes it seem fake, man. It makes it seem like you're not practicing what you preach almost, because you made the same mistakes I did, if not worse. So now you're trying to judge me because I'm 19 or 20 going through my growing pains, instead of you trying to help me, give me free game, avoid going those same pains that you went through. And I think that is what's more relatable, is when I break it down to those things, to those kids that way. I don't try to hide things or sugarcoat things from those kids. I give them the real game about what's going on in life. And because they're gonna learn about it and get exposed to it anyway. So would you rather let you be the one exposed it to them and try to control the situation to a point where they know how to handle themselves, or lie to them and sugarcoat things and try to keep things from them, and then when they get exposed to it, they didn't know how to react. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle this situation. Why? Because they never had a chance to deal with them, beforehand. So I think that's why I've been so successful, speaking to the youth, to the crowd I speak, period, and doing the things I do, is because I try my best to remember, like, I was in this situation, speak from their own experience. People can tell when it's genuine, especially kids. They can tell when it's real and when it's, you know what I mean? So, I mean, that's what I live by, man.
Yeah, I think especially kids, like you just mentioned it there, it's so important for like adults to understand that kids, they can tell right and wrong straight away. They can tell if you're talking shit, or they can tell if you're telling the truth straight away. Whereas obviously we go through so much shit. We're like, oh fuck, who do we trust? Who do we not trust?
Exactly.
That kind of leads me on to my next question was, so you're taking these kids and you're giving them like an opportunity of like to know like the value of money and the value of having like a job, creating sort of social relationships in the job. Do you, how would you explain to these kids about leaving bad influence friends behind? So like leaving the ones who just want to, just get through life. Like they don't want to actually achieve anything. Like, and maybe they have a lot of bad habits. Like say they're like getting into alcohol like every single day, or like they're doing drugs every single day, or they're maybe committing crime or something like that. And all that there can be fun. Like whenever you're a kid and you're doing shit like that, like it's exhilarating to like know that like, oh, I could almost get caught. But how do you explain it to these kids to say like they don't want what's best for you? You need to find that on your own, and you need to get away from those bad influences.
Man, I think that's such a tricky situation, bro, because it's like on one half of it, like I mentioned earlier, you almost, want them to know that I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to try to control you. I'm not going to try to dictate you on your decisions, because I made a lot of those same decisions that you just mentioned, the smoking weed and the kicking it and the girls and the, you know what I mean? I did those same exact things. You know what I mean? I'm young, bro. I live like anybody else. You know what I mean? Like I did those things, and it took me a long time for me to bump my head to get it right. So it's like a fine line between, I'm not going to, again, be hypocritical and try to judge you as if I didn't do those things, but it's also this fine line between helping them understand, what do you want? What do you want out of life? What is it that you want to achieve? And the reason why a lot of these kids, and even myself for a long time, was so out here just living frivolously with no type of meaning, no type of purpose, because I didn't know what I wanted. I was so lost. And in a way, that kind of like depresses you and scares you, because when you do have that small group of friends that you graduated with or that you grew up with, and you start to see them do amazing things for college and start families, and they're getting houses now, and they doing all of these different things, that starts to hit you in your head like, man, I'm bullshitting, And so you escape to the women, to the drugs, and to all the different things you mentioned to try to get your mind off of that. And so for me, I think the thing that I would explain to them the most, and the thing I do explain to them the most, is that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to be a kid. It's okay to enjoy your life. Nobody else is going to tell you that. But what do you want? And even if you don't know what you want, are you at least trying and exploring things to find out what you want? And ask yourself that, if me spending more of my time bullshitting and spending time with people that aren't trying to do anything with their time and with their life, if I spend more time with them, how much further away is that pulling me from this dream and this goal I want? Because you can't consider them to be a real friend, or to be a real ally, or to be somebody that you consider yourself to care for and love, if they pulling you further and further away from your dream and your goal. That's not a friend. That's not somebody that you should be giving your time and your energy to. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you put it into them in that type of term, they start to understand like, damn, they so quick to encourage me to do some dumb shit They so quick to encourage me to spend my money on some dumb shit. They so quick to encourage me to go do something that ain't helping me grow or build in no type of way. But as soon as I tell them about this new idea, they start making fun of me. As soon as I tell them how I want to start this business, they stop listening. As soon as I tell them I want to do this thing, they try to shoot it down, or they try to act like they don't really, they ain't really with that. And what'll happen is when you start growing, see what happens is that when we fuck with somebody and we cool with somebody, we on the same level together, right? And that's what happens over time is when you continue to grow and you start to explore different things and you start to become interested in different things, you start to outgrow this person because your conversation, your mindset, the way you look at life starts to change. You start talking about start businesses and you start talking about giving back to your community and you talking about going to college and you talking about, like you said, maybe settling down with a family and all these different things. And they 5 years later still talking about fucking on hoes and smoking weed and doing all these different things. The conversation changed. You see what I'm saying? So now we don't have as much as in common. And the crazy part is that, you may want to grow with this person and do these amazing things with this person, but you can't help you can't make a person or want a person to grow that don't want to grow. You can't make a person get in the way that you want if they don't want to be on that. And you will start to understand that is when you start to grow and elevate yourself, you'll leave behind the people that want to stay stagnant, that want to do the same things for the rest of their life. And then when you see them 15, 20 years down the line, still in that same place of their life, you're going to be like, man, if I would have stayed connected to them, imagine where I would be. You know what I mean? And you got to be okay at some point in your life saying, man, I love you. I care for you. I'm always going to love for you. I'm never going to, I'm always going to be there if you need me, but I can't stay here.
Yeah.
My dreams and my goal cannot continue to wait on me staying here with you. And if I keep staying in this position, talking about the same shit, doing the same things, now you're putting my dream and my goal in jeopardy. And you can't say that you love and care for me, like I mentioned earlier, if you're not willing to push me further to what I'm supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? Like I got partners that I grew up in a rough part of town with that they may still be on the same thing, but at least some of them love me enough to say, Z, man, you get out of this neighborhood. You don't come back here. I love you enough to help you achieve and push your dream. That might not be what I want to do, and I got to respect them for that, but they at least love and care for me and respected me enough to say, man, I'm going to help you achieve what you're trying to do because you're going to be the one to put on for our city and the one to change something. And so I think even if you can find somebody like that, you got a good thing. But those people that aren't willing to help you in any type of way, the ones that are so small-minded that they try to shoot down your big dream, man, those are the ones that I would just encourage people to stay away from, man. So I'm passionate about that, as you can see. But yeah, man, that would be my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I can tell that you're passionate, and I mean, it's I think I don't want to diminish women, but I think for guys especially, it's very, very hard if you're in a big friend group and you're kind of all competing to be the alpha male. So, or like say like you're competing to be like the clown of the group, or like everyone has like sort of their own preferences, and then there's always those people in the group who are at the bottom of the pecking order, and they're the ones you like make fun of, or like you might not hang about with them as much, but they're always just still there. You kind of use them as a means. And I think, especially for me, it was kind of hard to try and be like, I can't fucking be in this group anymore. I need to like take myself out of it. And as you said, there's some people who in that friend group will understand your reasons why, but then there's others who get jealous and get envious, and they will start to badmouth you behind your back. And that's kind of the fear for most guys, I would say, who have big friends, circle groups. Like they may have all these dreams, but they have that fear of saying it and like actually taking the first steps to get themselves out of the situation. Would you agree?
Absolutely. As you get older, man, like I don't know, this might not apply for everybody. There's always those couple exceptions, but as you get older, you start to realize like you if anything, you gonna have that core people that you fuck with, that you rock with, whether that's your team, your day one, still maybe sometimes, but a lot of times when you have a super big team, then there's a bigger probability and a bigger chance that there's going to be that disconnect somewhere with somebody about something. You know what I mean? And so I think again, and if you find yourself in a position, to be honest with you, to where you're hesitant to talk about your dreams and your goals around these people and the things that you want to do, then why are you around them in the first place?
Mm.
That's not a place to grow. That's a place to die. That's a place to be forgotten about. You know what I mean? Because if I can't talk to you about the things that are going to help elevate me and help elevate us, then what are we doing? We wasting our time. What are we talking about? Again, because at some point the conversation has to change. What do I sound like if I'm 30 years old still talking about trying to go to the club every weekend and trying to do things that have no, again, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to kick it. I'm not down in that at all. But what do I look like if that's the focus of my conversation every time you talk to me? Every time you talk to me, I'm talking about irrelevant things. What would you think of me if I'm never coming to you about anything, or if I do come to you about these things that actually have some meaning behind them, and you treat them as if they're nothing? What kind of friendship is that to have with somebody? What type of relationship is that? Why would you even want that? You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, I look at it like that, bro. If you're hesitant to talk about the things that could possibly change our life forever and help y'all grow as people, and in business and whatever the case may be, then man, that's a scary place to be. You know what I mean? So, nah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a guy out there now who is listening to this and they're in that exact same situation where they know that their friend group is not good for them and they have these dreams, I mean, what sort of advice would you give to them? Would you tell them sort of how to get out of how would you tell them to get out of the group? Like what steps would they need to take, like respectfully, to get out?
I don't think there's a certain formula for you to start to outgrow people. I think that it's a natural thing of law. I think because I put it like this, I had a day one friend of mine that I loved to death, and I still love him to death, right? Like it was to the point where if you saw me, you saw him, right?
Yeah.
Like we were inseparable all throughout school, all growing up, man. Like, you know, it was to the point where if you saw one of us, you would ask what the other one was. Like it was that type of relationship. And, you know, we had a lot in common. This is why we clicked so well. We were family, we were brothers, and we just had a lot in common, which is why we were always together. But what I say that it'll start to naturally happen is because he was still so focused on the things that drew us together. But then when I started to taste different things like community work and putting together youth programs and speaking, and I started to taste these different things, and he's still in that same place over those years as we continue to grow. We graduated high school, because as you know, once you graduate high school, everything changes, right? That's when you start seeing who the real friends are. That's when you start trying to go into the workforce. You start college, all of these different things. You start learning your trade and whatever else. People have families. Like everything changes after that. And so I started to really, you know, tasting my different talents and figuring out who I was and figuring out what I wanted. And when I started, you know, gravitating into that lane, me and him just started talking less and less. Our conversations got shorter and shorter. Us kicking it together became a less and less frequent thing. You know, and even when we got together and when we kicked it, it started to become so awkward because I want to talk about business. I want to talk about this new deal that I closed. I want to talk about this speaking engagement I had. And he still want to talk about, let's roll up and smoke some weed, or let's go talk to these girls, or let's go do this. And it's like, I said, that's cool. But at some point, I got tired of doing that because I knew I had to get ready to go home and prepare for this engagement, or I had to go home and get ready to prepare for an event we had coming up like that. So it's like, you're going to naturally gravitate away from those people. You see what I'm saying? So I think the thing I would tell them most is not so much an exit plan to get away from those people, but more so, are you putting yourself in position to, again, figure out who you are, figure out what it is that you want out of life, putting your plan together, because I guarantee you, when you do those things and you start to place yourself in that place, and focus on the things that truly matter in life, you'll start to gravitate away from the people that don't want the same things, or that at least don't support what it is that you want, right? Or don't get what it is that you want. And what'll happen is that they'll start to make room for the people that truly deserve to be in your life. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of times when we lose that day one best friend or that family member that we care so much about, and they're not so much in our circle anymore, we don't talk to them every day anymore, we question that. We like, man, how could they do me like this? How could they give up on me like this? How can they walk out of my life like that? How can they, just not see what I'm seeing? But you don't even know that was a blessing, man.
Yeah.
You can still love that person. You can still be cool with that person. But that just made when a person A left your life, that left room for person B that's going to invest in your business, that's going to believe in your business, that's going to boost your business, that's going to help you with your business, that's going to give you honest feedback about your business. And when you get to a certain point in your life, which one is more valuable? Person B all day long. And so we question oftentimes what really is a blessing in disguise, man. So that's what I would tell them. Just focus on that craft, focus on that purpose, focus on that plan. And once you find out what it is that you love, you go all in on it. And the people that are meant to be in your life will be there. And the ones that aren't, you'll naturally gravitate away from. That's how life works. You'll draw close to the things that are relevant to you, and you'll pull further and further away from the people and the things that mean you no good. But the deal breaker is once you've been shown who's supporting you and who's going to be there for you, you have to make the decision is what's more important. Is it my dream or my goal and the people that got my back on that? Or do I want to go back to what's comfortable? Just because he's my day one and it's a comfortable place to be. But where's the meaning behind that if they're not pushing you further and further towards what matters? And so I think that's the deal breaker. That's the true thing. Because a lot of times we know what we need to do. We know what we're supposed to do. We don't need to be around this person as much. We know we're giving too much time to irrelevant people, but it's a comfortable thing. It's a loyalty thing. And sometimes we're more loyal to the wrong people than we are to our dreams. And that's a crazy thing to me. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I was reading Jordan Peterson's book this morning, 12 Rules for Life, and I just finished chapter 3, and he summed it up perfectly. He said, chapter 3 was about getting away from bad influences, and he was talking about friend groups. And he basically said that loyalty equals stupidity if you're spending it with the wrong people. And kind of resonate with me. Stupidity. Yeah, it kind of resonated with me. I was like, I mean, social media has been a big blessing for me. And whenever I started this podcast, I've talked to I wouldn't even think about talking to someone like yourself all the way in America, motivational speaker. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely,
the friendships I've made, like obviously there's downsides to social media, but I always like sort of talk about the downsides and I don't give enough credit to the upsides. And the upsides are that I've met people who I would call best friends now on social media, which is amazing. And I think if you use it in the right tool, it can give you great rewards and great benefits. And it's amazing, like you said, whenever you not get rid of, but whenever person A walks out of your life, there's definitely going to be a person B that's going to come into your life and make it a lot better. And
they're going to support you harder, and y'all just met than the person that's been in your 15 years. You ever heard that? The person out there that you never met that are waiting to support you, and they're going to go way harder for you than the people that have been in your life since y'all was in diapers.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we think it's weird for us to make new friends, and you're like, that's where your blessings lie. That's where everything can change for you with those people, man. But again, it just kind of goes back to that short-sighted thing, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 100% a big believer in that. And I wouldn't say that I'm religious, but I do believe in karma quite a lot. And it's kind of weird because I kind of say I'm agnostic, but I'm a big believer in karma where if you do good, things will come back to you. And if you kind of like say you are going through shit times, like I always like say to like my girlfriend and my friends, like it's okay to have that shit moment. I mean, you could have a day or two or a couple of days where you do go through the emotions, but there needs to be that switch where you just come straight back out of it and you need to focus back on yourself. I think bouncing off what you had just previously mentioned there about how naturally you get away from those bad influence people. What would you say to someone who can't get away from the bad influence people, like family members? So like say you have dreams and you tell a family member and maybe you don't get the reaction that you wanted. How do you sort of deal with that?
I'll be honest, man, that's a lonely place to be. So just reiterating that what do I do when I run across that family member, that loved one? I tell them about that dream and they don't support it. They don't believe in it. They don't give me the reaction I want. It's that's a lonely place to be. And a lot of people don't understand. I think that may be the clip that connected you and I, where I was talking about that. The one that blew up, and it was like,
Yeah.
People think I write that stuff just based. I pull it out of my ass. No, man, those clips and those content that I talk about when I'm speaking often comes from a real personal place, because I've been the guy. Because just imagine me telling my people, man, I want to serve the youth, right? I want to give back to the less fortunate, and they're like, you're gonna be less fortunate trying to do that, right? Like that's what they telling me, because they're like, where's the money in that? Where's the opportunity in there for you to take care of your family and take care of your daughter and provide? Like, I don't see it, right? And you learn very quickly that that's a very lonely place to be. But what I had to do is I had to learn how to, again, let people know, let those type of people know, even my own mom and my own dad sometimes, like, I love you, I care about you, I respect you, but I disagree with you, and you just have to understand that, as bad as you want to talk to them about what you're working on and what it is you're doing and what you want to do, that may just can't be a part of y'all conversation, right? And I had to learn that. Like, I don't tell them about what I'm working on until I've done it, right? So then when they see me on the news, or they hear about my viral clips, or they hear about how I did this and that to the third with this and that with my program, and then they're like, wow, that's my baby. And then they're bragging to their friends, and they're telling their friends, and they're on the phone talking about it more than me. And so I think with those type of people, you just have to let your success do the talking. I think that's honestly the truth in it. And again, be respectful. And if you can't take it, then you're going to have to humble up and either move out, move in with a friend, move in with a cousin, right? Shack up with some people that do believe in it and incubate, and y'all build something that goes to living humbly. And I think that's what a lot of people feel like. We say we don't want to hear what our parents and stuff have to say, but are you willing to move out and go live very humbly for X amount of time? Are you willing to do that while you work on your dream? Or do you have the willpower to, again, be respectful, but be very reserved when it comes to what you share with them? Can you do that? Like, I think it's just a mindset thing, bro. Like, you're going to have to be super humble and move out and, live below your means if that's the case. Or if you can handle it and you have a nice job that supports you, do that. And while you work on your dream at night, but you have to have some type of exit plan that keeps you sane, because, again, it's a very lonely place to be, man. So, what I would tell them is, one of those three options, man: move out, live humbly with somebody, or find a living situation where you can just work on your dream as much as possible. If you have a 9-to-5 or some type of source of income that supports you, that might be an option for you. Or you're gonna have to either suck that shit up and shut up and just work on it. And when the time comes, that success is gonna speak for you, and then you'll start to see, like, man, my family, my loved ones are the biggest supporters I got. But the frustrating part, I think, for a lot of people is that why did it take me to have to be successful first before you saw it?
Yeah. I
wanted you to see it before I did this. You were supposed to believe in it before anybody. But you got to understand, at the end of the day, I talked about this in an analogy. When you have a dream at night, when you had a dream last night, you could get on here right now and say, Z, I dreamt about boom, 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 boom. It happened like boom, 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 boom. But when you told me what happened in that dream when you were asleep, you could tell me to the best of your ability, but that don't mean I'm going to see it the way you saw it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to know exactly what you saw. You might tell me what you saw, but I don't see what you saw when your eyes were closed. And it's the same thing with our real dreams in real life. We can tell people all day, I'm going to do this. It's going to happen like this. But when I tell it to that person, they're not going to receive it the way I saw it. And you got to be okay with that. You see what I'm saying? You got to be okay with that and comfortable with that. And I think that's what people get frustrated at, because it's kind of like trying to beat something in somebody's head that just don't get it. It flusters you. And I think it's the same thing, man. And you just got to be okay with it. And it's a lonely place. And it's a sad place, and it depresses you sometimes. But if you can just keep going, when the success does come, man, they'll be the ones bragging on you the hardest. But again, you like, man, but damn, why didn't you get it before? Why did it take all this for you to see it? And so that's what I would tell them: have an exit plan, understand that it's going to be lonely, and it is lonely, and you have to be okay with being lonely. And if you're lucky to find people that do believe in it, you hold on to those people as long as you can, and then you cherish those people, and you prove those people wrong. Not for them, but for you. So that's what I would tell them.
Yeah, I think the way you mentioned it there, I think that there's kind of, say for example, parents, there's kind of two ways you can look at it. This is what I believe. I believe that they're either going to be envious or jealous that they can do it, or the other side is that they are actually caring for you, and maybe they're like, oh, but like, I don't want you to be homeless. I don't want you to be living out of your car. Like, I want you to be safe. And maybe we kind of, because they can't see that dream, maybe we get annoyed at them for them caring.
Right. And it's like, yeah, and it's like a lot of times it is one of those two things. It's a couple things, like you said. It's either they weren't able to do it, so they want to they doubt that you can do it because you're dreaming such a big dream, or they already had a plan for you in their head of what they wanted you to do, and it doesn't match up. Now they're mad about it, or like you said, they want you to do the safe thing. But you got to really ask yourself: is anything safe in this world? Is anything really safe? When the pandemic happened, that showed you that shit wasn't safe.
Yeah.
People that thought they had a 401k and these benefits and this and that, a lot of them lost that job, right? Like, I think if anything, Corona proved a lot of people wrong, that you can go to college and still not be safe. You can have all of these degrees and still not be safe. You can have this best job in the world and not necessarily be safe. Now, a lot of people were blessed, don't get me wrong, but to be honest with you, is anything safe? Yeah. Right now, we could have something happen to God forbid, something happens to our world, and it shows you, just how untrue that is, man. And so, I don't believe in that. I think we're the ones that have the power to determine what type of future and what type of life we choose to live. It all depends on you at the end of the day, because just like that, like I said, just like the virus, show what isn't safe. Either you were able to pivot and still be successful, and a lot of people became millionaires and billionaires during the pandemic, and a lot of people made excuses and settled and became stagnant during this pandemic. So I think it's a choice, man. And so, yeah, man. I think it's that, and I think you have to make your people understand that too. Like, nothing is safe in this world. I get it, and what cracks me up is even when you may say, I have a plan, and we have a plan of what we want to do with our life, and then life happens. It's crazy. You make this pretty vision board, you make these New Year's resolutions, you do all of these things, but then your car breaks down, you lose a loved one, you go into debt, whatever, like you lose your job, the pandemic happens, whatever the case may be. I think that's what truly separates the successful from the unsuccessful people, is because can you focus on the plan and the dream and the goal you had, even when you have every reason not to? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference maker, bro. So, yeah, man.
I'll give you an example of that. And also, that was great what you mentioned about COVID. Like, everyone thinks it's all doom and gloom, but there's been millionaires that have come out. I mean, look at the platform that we're on now, Zoom. Like, no one heard of Zoom before the pandemic, and it's fucking massive.
Not everybody and their mom is using it. Exactly.
Everyone is using it. Every single place, schools, sports, anything that you can think of, they're using it, and it's free as well. And obviously, you can pay for the pro subscription, stuff like that, and that's probably where they make most of their money. And obviously, the free version, they're getting money off advertisements as well. But it's just exactly what you said. Like, you can do anything as long as you stay focused. And like you said, like, life just comes at you and it just hits you one day, and it may try and wobble you off your path. I started this podcast at the beginning of the pandemic. I think it was last July, so it's coming up to a year now. And at the start, it was all new to me. I didn't really know what systems to use. Everything was quite amateur. It still is. I still think it's amateur, but that's just because I'm a hard self-critic. I kind of know where I want to be.
But you know what separates you from everybody else is the hard. I had a conversation with my mentor yesterday, and he said that, man, a lot of people don't know what the hell they doing when they start, but they do it. They just started. They started afraid. They started not sure. They started with the doubt. They started with people telling them they could do it, but they started. And so I think that's what's going to separate you and help make sure that you're going to be successful, and that you already are successful, is the fact that, like you said, it's not to where I wanted to be, but I started it. And now you have a track record. You're 20, 30, 40 episodes ahead of people that keep on saying, well, I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it. And those are the people that annoy me, is the ones that say they have, and the people that annoy me the most are the ones that have the greatest ideas, the dopest concepts, the best business ideas, the things that they want to do. But it's like, they keep on saying tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. It's kind of like that meme, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. You keep saying
Yeah.
tomorrow. It's like, what are you waiting for? You know, and you know, like you said, the fear, other people's opinions, people telling them they couldn't do it, waiting for the right time, whatever the fuck that means, and you know, there's just a bunch of bullshit, man. So you know, you are on the right path because you started, you know. So, but yeah, I'm sorry, man. I had to throw that in there. What were you saying?
No, man. Thanks very much for those kind words. You've just fed my ego. My fucking head's going to blow up. No, I mean, like you said, like if I could give anyone advice who does want to start a podcast, there's no point in saying leave it, because my girlfriend bought me the equipment. She bought me this mic and the whole setup, and I left it sitting in the box for 3 weeks. I was just like so scared. I was like, oh, how's my voice going to sound? Are people going to be interested in what I'm talking about? And I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And then I was like, if I be consistent and keep on putting out an episode every single week, people will start to respect that.
That's sometimes what they respect more than what you're talking about, is the fact that you were consistent.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then once you get that respect, now they're like, no, what are you talking about on these shows? And then once they actually, now once you get past the respect barrier, now it's a sense of, I actually like what he's saying. I support this, right? And
Yeah.
but the biggest thing, because like you said, you know, you probably heard this before. It takes 2 or 3 times before something actually clicks in a person's brain for them to actually resonate with what it is that they're seeing, and they have to see it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And so I think that's what people fail and lose a lot of times, that we can't even be consistent enough, because we don't get the likes, we don't get the approval, we don't get the you know, we don't get the shares and all that shit that we want. You know what I mean? And we lose. Like the video that connected us, bro. I did that video a year ago.
I know.
Video was you see what I'm saying? Like I've been doing this. Like I've been consistent for 7 years. Like I mentioned, 7, 8 years consistent with content, bro. And just could never get over that hump, you know. And and it's like, man, but just keep on doing it. You know, I just kept on doing it. I kept trying to figure it out, and I kept trying unique ways to represent stuff that I already had did, and then it just catches. But imagine if I had quit. You know, imagine if I had up on it because I wasn't getting the response I wanted, or because I listened to what this person had to say. You know, we wouldn't be here today, you know? And so that's how I look at it, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think you just need to keep on going through it and see your own purpose, and don't listen to what other people are saying. I mean, with COVID, I mean, a bit about my background. I was in Australia, and I got sponsored there to work in a job, and I was going to be there for 4 years, and that was my life. That was what my future was. I was making all those lists, planning everything, where I was going to live, what car I was going to buy, what luxuries I was going to have. And then I had to leave the country whilst my visa was being processed to work. And like you said, bam, life hit me, and I got fucked over because of coronavirus. It didn't go through, and I was doing the podcast at the time, and I kind of thought, okay, this is shit, but I mean, I've been given an opportunity here where I'm unemployed and I can put more time into the podcast. And
100%.
I started exploring different options. I started exploring more opportunities of people to speak to. I started finding out new software, and I was networking with people and trying to get what sort of content they were doing as well. And I feel like as of maybe a couple of weeks ago, it's kind of I'm set, I've got everything scheduled and what to do and what content to put out. And it kind of feels like for the first time, I'm on the right path, because do you know why imposter syndrome starts setting in? You're like, am I really in this? Is this who I am? Am I wanting to do this? And I just feel like if you have that purpose and you actually enjoy it as well, you will go on to bigger things. And it's like you said, I mean, that video came out a year ago and it's still circulating around. And I just, my girlfriend seen it and she sent it to me, and I was just like, wow, this guy, I need to get him on. This is amazing. And
And I'll close out on this, because I gotta hop off, man. I wish we got to do a part 2 to this. A lot of times, like you said, man, we question, damn, why did I have to go through that? You know, why did this have to happen to me?
He's still there, Will?
Time and this effort that you're giving to mastering this craft.
Well, sorry, it just it cut off there for about 10 seconds. Yeah, can you just repeat what you said?
Yeah, we were doing good this whole time, but basically I was saying that, you know, a lot of people question, like, man, why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to experience this particular trial and tribulation in my life, right? And the thing is that I feel like if you were given that fancy job and opportunity at that point in your life, would you still be given the time and the effort to master this craft that you're doing the way you're doing it? You see what I'm saying? And we question oftentimes what we feel like is a broken time when it's really a blessing, you know?
Yeah.
And I look at it that way. Like I had a partner one time, man. He had great idea, great thing he wanted to do, dope ass concept. But he kept, for some reason, going to a safety net again, 9 to 5, working at just your standard CVS and Targets and all of these different things, man. And I'm like, you keep sitting on your gift, though. You keep sitting on this thing until finally one of those so-called safety net jobs he had fired his ass. He couldn't get another one. And so now he got all this time sitting around, and at that point, you got a choice to make. Like, am I going to sulk? Am I going to complain? Am I going to blame people? Or am I going to get off my ass and go work on this dream that I've been saying I wanted to do for so long anyway? You see what I'm saying? And now he got one of the dopest nonprofits in the state. But it was like, what you literally have to sometimes get down on your shit, down on your ass, down your luck to for your gift to finally form, for your back to get against the wall, for you to truly use what you've had all along. And I wholeheartedly believe in that, man. You know, so sometimes we question why, but you don't even know, man, that was a blessing. And you should be thankful that you went through that, you know, that happened to you, because even though it hurts like hell right now, you'll be all right. You'll be whole again one day, and you're going to understand why you went through that. You know what I mean? So I wholeheartedly believe in that, man. But damn, I wish we could do this longer, man. I got to hop off here.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I understand you're a busy man. Just say before you go off there, so can you tell people just audioly, don't know why I said that. Can you tell people how to find you, where you are, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, man. Y'all can find me on all social media platforms at Will Zee Tidwell, Tidwell. Yeah, all platforms. So that's Twitter, that's Instagram. TikTok is Neighborhood Hero 96 or Will Z Tidwell as well. You should be able to find me with either one. That's where I drop off my heat at, man. So YouTube, same name. But yeah, I'm pretty much on every platform. The name of my podcast is Z Speaks. And shout out to my guy Nate, man.
Man, we just got cut off there again. I think as soon as it's coming to the very end, it's starting to freeze.
Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, can you just repeat? I heard you say that you were giving a shout out to Nate.
Yeah, I was basically just saying, man, you know, just shout out to you for this adult platform you have, man. And this, you know, y'all can connect me on all of those platforms I mentioned. And again, the name of my show is Z Speaks Podcast. There's always some dope heat on there, and this episode is definitely going on there. You know, I love collaborating, man, and you know, this won't be the first time you see us working together. So I'm just thankful that we got a chance to do this, brother.
Yeah, amazing. I'll definitely have you on again in the future, and good luck with whatever comes out your way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Same to you, man. Let's stay connected, man. If you need anything, just give me a holler, okay?
Yeah, amazing. Thanks very much, Will.
All right, brother. Let's talk soon.
See you, boy. Thanks.
Have a good one.